There's going to be two firsts today. I've never tried a flip phone, and I've also never tried a Motorola phone, but in front of me I have a Motorola flip phone. Not the ones from the 2000s that Motorola was one of the leading sellers of, but the more modern Motorola Razr. So I'm gonna, of course, unbox this and actually use and live with it for a week. Then I'll go over the pros, the cons, and also how practical the whole flip function really is. Now, mine came in the box from, I believe, the 6 to 7-year-old Razr that the eBay seller just threw in for me, so yours will not be as cool. But if I open this up here, there it is. Wow, that is a long phone. If I fold it for the first time ever, that is actually nice and flush. It has like a nice firm resistance, but it's not like hard to flip. Now this version has a 6.9-inch main screen and I believe a 3.6-inch outside screen. I am very curious how much you can actually do with it. Now something I did notice with all Motorola phones are the colors. They're all really nice. I think that's partially because they have a partnership with Pantone. If I understand it correctly, that's the company that kind of has like the standard universal system for color names. And I'm a big fan of this blue color, but it's also just the material. Like it might wear down quicker just taking a look at it, but that feels premium. Now in the flippable phone market, the real options you have are the 2024 to 2026 Motorola Razrs, Razr Pluses, and Razr Ultras. Then of course you have the Samsung Z Flip 7 and the Z Flip 7 FE. But when I tell you how much I paid for this, it's probably gonna shock you, but the 2026 version of the regular Razr kind of fits in between the Z Flip 7 and Z Flip 7 FE in terms of capabilities, but it's actually $100 cheaper than Samsung's cheapest option at $800. So I think on paper, it's kind of already at a fair price, but it seems like Motorola is always having some kind of deal on it. Like right now there's the World Cup version of it, and it's in a bundle that comes with the Motorola watch, earbuds, and kind of like an AirTag tracker. And you could get that for $600. But you know, if you don't want a bright green phone that's kind of a walking advertisement for the World Cup, you could get just the current 2026 Razr. Or if you're like me and you realize the 2025 version has essentially all of the same things as the newest version, you can get that for $250 used, around $500 open box and brand new. Or with a little bit of luck and patience, you can snipe an eBay auction for $97, and that is the price I paid for this phone here. But unfortunately, there are reasons why Motorola phones from previous generations tend to be cheaper, especially secondhand ones, but I'll get into that later. Here we go. Hello, Moto. Obviously, this is an Android-based phone. I believe we're on Android 16. Oh, this button on the side isn't just a power button. That's a fingerprint reader. Actually, I wish they added that into the iPhone, maybe with the camera control button. I think that has the potential to be a Touch ID. And then of course we have the Face ID. Man, all right, there's too much for me to explore on this phone. So that's what I'm gonna be doing for the next week. And then I'll come back to talk about what it's like to use and live with the Motorola Razr. Okay, it's been about 1 week and I have a lot that I want to talk about. First off, since this is the first Android that I've tried that's actually mine, I've been able to play around with more of the customization and just generally, even as an iPhone user, I just like the interface of Android. I don't know if I like it better, but it's very good. I don't know if this is all Androids or just exclusive to the Razr. Having the keyboard with the number pad always up is really nice, especially because this is a much taller phone. It has an aspect ratio of 22:9 instead of 19.5:9 like on the iPhone 17. But on the, I guess you could say, flip side, because it's taller, no one laughed at that joke, by the way, but because it's taller, I do find it really awkward having to stretch my hand up to swipe down if I wanted to adjust something like the brightness. But there actually is a setting to help with that. You can use the power button and just swipe down on it. That is an excellent feature in my book. But I also feel like if you're just holding it normally, the volume buttons are just, again, awkwardly high up. I feel like if they just put them on the left side directly across from the power button, that would be a lot easier, but maybe that's just me. And I said the same thing for the Google Pixel. But I think they should really put some customizable button, like the iPhone's action button, on the left side, because instead they have nothing. They have nothing on the left side, and I think that's a missed opportunity. But something that I think they did very well is putting the fingerprint reader on to the power button. For me, it's been extremely reliable, and it's just in the perfect spot. You're already clicking the button to turn on the phone. I think it makes perfect sense to put the reader there too. There's kind of a half exception though, because when I'm kind of holding my phone about to put it, like right now, my finger's just naturally grabbing the sensor and it's saying like, oh, fingerprint not detected. Then when I do want to log in, it's requiring me to type in my password because it's too many failed attempts. There is also Face ID, which I find to work perfectly fine. It does work when it's both folded and unfolded, but when it is folded up, I have noticed it's a little bit slower. But I really want to focus on the outside screen for a second because that is what makes this phone so interesting to me. It isn't just a glorified lock screen where you can check the time and your notifications. Like, it is a true phone screen. You essentially have no limits functionality-wise. Apparently, the outside screen is something that Razr does a lot better than something like the Samsung flip phones. The biggest difference on the outside screen is there is a kind of small homepage, but you're swiping between other pages with like games, the weather, and then apps, which I found I could put all the apps I wanted to on here, and you can open all of the apps you want to on here. You can watch a YouTube video on the outside screen. I have YouTube Shorts up right now. Doom scrolling has never been better. Now, most of the apps aren't exactly ideal for using on the outside screen. Something like Instagram, it's big enough where you can like see if someone has messaged you or some notifications, but as soon as you want to respond to a message or actually view a post, it's a little awkward. But the power of it is at any point, no matter what you're doing, you could just flip it up and it picks up exactly where you left off, just on a much bigger screen. Now for the displays, on both the inside and outside one, they have the always on display option. Both are OLED, which especially on the smaller screen, I don't know how to explain it. It actually just looks incredible. I don't know if it has to do with the pixel density or something, but I was impressed with it. The outside display is running on 90 Hertz and also 1700 nits of peak brightness, but on the inside you get 3000 nits of peak brightness and 120 Hertz. The only thing display-wise that I'd noticed is sometimes the automatic display is just bouncing all over the place. I don't know if I'm blocking a sensor with my finger or if it's just kind of bugging out, but that was actually pretty annoying, I'm not gonna lie. But just generally with the outside display itself being so capable, that kind of got me thinking that this might be the closest thing we get to mini phones in the future. Personally, I was a huge fan of the iPhone mini when I tried it. Just for what you need a phone for, I think it's kind of just the perfect size. On something like this, you kind of have the smaller phone, and whenever you need a bigger one, you flip it open and it's a regular sized phone. I think I prefer that form factor over having a regular sized phone and you flip it and it becomes like a mini tablet. But since having a phone unfolded is kind of just the regular form factor, that could be a big divide for people considering, well, the actual divide between the two halves of the screen. It definitely can be noticeable right over the hinge there, especially depending on which angle you're looking at it from, and even the color brightness that's currently being displayed. For me though, I did not find it distracting or annoying, but I could understand if it is. Now, what could have been annoying and what I was initially concerned with was with this outside screen, once you flip it open, I didn't know if it was gonna take some inputs or what, but once you are flipped open, it is completely turned off and almost does not pick up on anything, which is good, except if you tap it 3 times. That is one of the Motorola gestures, or they call them the Moto actions. You can link to some kind of shortcut that you set up. And then there's also things like if you karate chop it like this, it turns on the flashlight. You can also twist your wrist twice to open the camera, or twist it a 3rd time to switch it to the selfie camera. Or if you take 3 fingers and tap and hold, you take a screenshot. For the cameras, it on paper sounds like it should be quite good. The main sensor is a 50 megapixel one. The ultra wide is 13 megapixels, and the selfie sensor is 36 megapixels, but it can also be 50 megapixels. You'll soon see what I mean by that. The camera app itself is a little bit different than the one on the Google Pixel, which that kind of surprised me. But the one on the Razr is actually even more similar to the iOS camera app. But what does it look like? I got some test clips and photos here, and this is actually my first time looking at it as well. First up, we got my kind of regular video A-roll setup. We got the iPhone. I'm familiar with that image. And we got the Razr. That is a lot noisier. I don't know if that'll come through on YouTube, but now the video of me outside, for some reason I'm framed up way differently on the Razr. I don't look too good there. For some reason, my shirt looks so wrinkly. It's not that bad in reality. I wonder if it's just the way it's picking up the kind of color pattern. I mean, even on the iPhone that looks wrinkly, but I look a lot healthier on the iPhone, and I think the quality of the footage looks better. But comparing the picture here, the iPhone looks like an iPhone picture, looks a little dull. The Razr, yeah, like that, it just looks so much better. iPhone pictures suck right out of the box. Like if you look at the greens in the background, the Razr is just so much more full and bold. It just pops way more on the Razr. Finally, I have to test the selfie cameras of each and also the microphone quality of each. Although it is not quite camera related, I do want to talk about audio. On the iPhone, of course, AirPods are going to work good. I use AirPods all the time. On the Razr, they suck. There are third-party apps to help them connect better, like LibriPods, I believe it's called, but that's not available on the Razr for some reason. So I had to break out the Nothing CMF pods, and that actually ended up making a great combo with the Razr. Now, the speakers on the Razr compared to the iPhone are speakers. They're not great, but here's a little look at that. But selfie camera wise, this is where they start to differ. On the iPhone, I can hold my phone vertically and record horizontally. That's a cool feature. But on the Razr, I can have it folded on the main camera, and I can actually start recording by just showing my palm like that. We are now recording on the phone flipped on the Razr with the main camera. And I can see myself right on the screen here, and that's nice. But I do think that the iPhone 17 is better pretty much across the board, other than pictures. For some reason, Apple just sucks at pictures. But again, what's special about the Razr is the way you can flip it. Specifically when it comes to the cameras, there's just so many ways to take advantage of that. I mean, if you're recording vertical video, you can half fold it and you kind of have a little tripod. Even horizontally, you can prop it up like that. And when you're recording horizontally with the screen folded, it puts you into camcorder mode, and you tap on this inside part of the screen where your thumb is to stop and start recording. You have a little viewfinder, and you're using your main camera. This is a whole lot more comfortable to hold, and I think that is actually a useful feature. Sometimes, especially depending on your use case, it's not about having the absolute best quality, it's about having the easiest way to capture something. And I think that is something that the Motorola Razr does pretty well. But no matter who you are or what you're using it for, battery life is a pretty important part of a phone. So to kind of test it, I charged both of these to 100% and played a 3-hour 4K YouTube video. And at the end of it, the iPhone was sitting at 89% battery, while the Razr was sitting at 80% battery. And that kind of supports my experience. The Razr is good battery life, but it's not as good as the iPhone 17. Which on paper should be the other way around because the Razr has quite a bit larger battery capacity. Either way though, I feel like both of these will be able to last me through an entire day, and that's what really matters. But you should also note that the max charging speed on the Razr is 15 watts wirelessly and 30 watts wired, while the iPhone 17 is 25 watts wirelessly and 40 watts wired. But apparently compared to other flip phones, the Razrs are pretty good battery life-wise. But before I talk about, in general, my thoughts on the flip function as a whole, there are some downsides to this phone right here. To me, it's not performance, it's not the battery life, it's not even the video quality, it's the longevity. The first of two ways is in the physical sense. My Razr here is fine, but long-term things like the screen hinge after flipping it a dozen times a day can get worn down, and apparently dust getting into the hinges is a somewhat big issue. As far as repairability, since you can only put a screen protector on the outside one because there's a pre-applied one inside, if you break that one inside, it's pretty expensive, and I feel like that defeats the entire purpose of having a screen protector. The only thing I have noticed on this just over 1-year-old Razr is on that inside screen protector, the corner is starting to come up a little bit, which has been noted to be common. But now for the other issue, when you're buying a phone, even if it's just a year or two old, there's an expectation that it'll last. Motorola is absolutely not a leader of long-lasting software support. In fact, they haven't even launched an Android 17 version for their Razr phones. Other brands, Samsung, Google, Apple, they average around 7 years of software support compared to Motorola's 3. Like, I just saw the iPhone 11 is getting iOS 27. That makes me so happy. The iPhone 11 is my OG. But on a more general scale, now that I finally used a flippable phone, what are my unfiltered opinions on the function as a whole? There are a bunch of little, not even gimmicks, but unique features that come with the flip function, and they can genuinely be useful. But the only reason I would ever buy a phone like this is to kind of have it as the compromise to a mini phone. Just being able to check my notifications and really access my entire phone without taking my phone out has been really nice. And of course, at any point, if you need to access more, you could just flip it right up. But funnily enough, other than that, when you have it flipped, it doesn't even really save space in my pocket or make it more portable in most cases. In fact, a lot of times when I'm taking it out of my pocket in the flipped state, because it's essentially a square, I always end up holding it from the wrong side and I gotta shuffle it around and orient it right. And what is actually worst of all about this phone that I forgot to mention, it is insanely difficult to flip it open with one hand. That is so disappointing. I don't know, maybe I just lack the technique or something. That is not as smooth as what I hoped for. I do not look as cool as I thought I would doing that. I really do love this form factor though, especially as a mini phone enjoyer. And if Apple made a phone like this, that would be something I'd have to consider for a future upgrade. But just to be painfully honest, I don't think would ever be necessary. Really, all this is a phone with an extra screen that does everything but worse. Like, it definitely does have some real benefits, but I feel like it's mostly just a show of cool tech. I couldn't tell you the last time I've seen someone use a Motorola, or if I've actually ever seen one being used out in the wild. I know they're not the most popular phone, but I think they might deserve a little more attention than they get. I at least have had fun trying it, but thank you for watching and feel free to subscribe for more.